All right. Yeah, I normally have my other cameras with me, and then I was out doing something. I was like, man, I'm just going to go ahead and stop by the park and just talk to people.
Oh.
Yeah. So you come out here often?
I come a lot because I live here.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I normally, so it's about feet and mental health. Has anybody ever talked to you about your feet before?
Yeah, I do a lot of grounding, which is why our feet are out and on the ground.
And that's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I talk to people about. They've actually done studies that they found like depression is an imbalance of potassium ions in the brain, and actually grounding, you rebalance that electrical force.
Mm-hmm.
So people that barefoot often and ground and walk barefoot often are happier, healthier people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They even did some studies in, I believe it was the Netherlands, children that I guess they did 30 minutes of recess outside, and they made them play outside barefoot. 6 months after the experiment, they're not missing school as often, they're healthier, they don't have as many digestive issues because you're getting the natural soil-based bacteria on your body instead of just separating yourself from the earth all the time. You know, we're always so clean and washing, and you know, how did we make it this far for tens of thousands of years without soap? And it wasn't until like 100 years ago that they actually realized that they needed to disinfect things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being clean has increased life expectancy.
Oh yeah, it certainly has. There's the the doctor who realized that you actually need to disinfect your hands. After doing autopsies, they wondered why they still smelt the cadavers on their hands. Well, this is before they knew about germs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, there's got to be something else going on there. So yeah, and then used to 1 in 5 women died in childbirth, and that was from infection from the doctor's hands. So yeah, it definitely helps. But with the feet, it's totally different. It's not like you're walking in a cow field and cow pies and all that stuff. It's just basic dirt. But like when you buy vegetables, you don't wash them in soap and water. You just rinse them off because you don't want the natural bacteria washed off of. Now, of course, if it's got pesticides and insecticides, that's different.
All got pesticides.
Yeah, it all does.
Yeah.
But really, if you're growing vegetables in your own garden and you're doing it all natural, you're not supposed to. And I mentioned that to somebody, and they're like, "What do you mean you're not supposed to wash them in soap and water?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay,
vinegar and water.
Yeah, vinegar's good. Yeah, it doesn't like kill all the good. There's good bacteria and bad bacteria.
Yeah.
Yep. So what do you know about grounding?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut your video short, but
I'm into like a lot of natural stuff. Like when you say good bacteria and bad bacteria, like I definitely look at the types of cultures that are in the everything that I take to see, like, to make sure I have like a balance of good bacteria and bad, like in my stomach. But grounding specifically, I ground all the time, like in the morning when I first wake up. Try to do it within like 30 minutes of waking up. I go outside and get in the sun, and I try to do a meditation. We have a grounding mattress pad, so it's kind of like a copper wire that goes out and grounds into.
I've seen those.
Yeah. And it is distributed through the mattress pad, but only helps if you're sleeping naked. So
right.
But,
which I mean, I do. I don't know. Some people like I have to have clothes on. I was like, I can't. Like, I just feel smothered if I have something on.
I feel like people do it, but then they sleep in pajamas, and I'm just like, you have to be touching it to be grounded. So
I guess maybe they think an arm or a hand or feet or something, rubbing it and touching it. Yeah. Do you ever do yoga or anything?
I'm not really into yoga. I do it sometimes in Pilates and stuff, because I try to, like, when women have a cycle during certain phases of their menstrual cycle, they're not supposed to do like weights or anything. So during those weeks, I kind of do it more. But yeah, I try not to if I don't have to. I try not to do any exercise if I don't have to. So yeah, which is, I know, bad.
Yeah.
But
all right. So what do you think about your feet? Do you like your feet, or they just, you don't think about them? Are they just part of your body, or do you pay extra attention to them and you get your toes done?
Yeah, I get my toes done, but I don't know. I don't like my feet to be dirty, so it's funny that you said that. But I do. I ground at home. I ground here because it's nice and flat. I have the prettiest part of my yard is where I ground at because we kind of laid the sand to make it very even and nice. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really think about my feet. I get a pedicure.
Okay, you just get them. You just get your nails painted, or do you actually get them like?
Yeah, why you have a foot fetish? That's why you.
Well, yes, I'm glad you asked. That is a small part of it, and so I see you're free to, like, you're freely talking about things. I'll freely express some things with you. So I was just talking with a guy earlier. So at a young age, I started noticing feet, and not thinking anything about it. Obviously, wasn't like attracted to like girls or anything yet. But my babysitter's daughter was in the pose, had her feet up in the air, and I'm just like, why do I keep looking at her feet? So then I realized years later that there's an actual thing for it, but it's technically not called a fetish. A fetish is for like shoes or leather or something like that. It's actually called a partiality when it's a part of the body, but not that matters to anybody. So what I've done is I've actually turned it into an art where it's not just a fetish, just thinking about feet. I talk to people about their feet, and sometimes I introduce people to their feet. The reason I ask, do you do anything with your feet? Some people's like, oh, I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but some people's like, no, I don't ever think about my feet. I don't ever get pedicures. I don't ever, they trim their nails when they get long, but they don't ground, they don't get massages, they don't.
Oh, yeah, I get reflexology.
Yeah. So I've gotten into that. I've turned it into a whole, not just, oh, let me look at your feet. It's a whole, and I love introducing people to their feet. There's been several people that's like, oh, I've realized that I like talking about or looking at feet too, and they didn't even think about it. It was just, oh yeah, like some people, the people who are in the feet, they'll look at your eyes and then they'll look at your feet. You've always heard you can judge a person by their shoes. Well, it's because they look at their feet, Yeah. Okay. Yep. So, have you ever, what size shoe do you wear?
Depends. I guess a 10.
A 10? Okay. Have you ever had anybody pay attention to your feet before, or ask you like to rub your feet or massage your feet or anything?
I mean, yeah, like I said, I get reflexology.
Well, right. Well, I know the reflexology, but just in general, just like maybe a friend or somebody you didn't know.
My husband.
Right.
Just
okay.
My husband.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was going to ask you when we said we have this spot in our yard where you do the barefooting. So your husband does it with you too. Does he do the barefooting or the grounding?
He does sometimes. Like he'll do like the full moon meditations and stuff, but he's not like every day out grinding. He does do priming. I don't know. I guess if you're familiar with yoga, you're familiar with priming. Yeah, but he's not like outside grounding and barefoot often. Not really.
Right.
No.
Okay. Does he pay attention to your feet? Does he give you massages or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes you talk to couples. I talk to couples and everybody about it. And then some people, they're just like totally oblivious to each other like that. And then I'm like, then give her a foot rub, give him a foot rub,
No, he likes feet.
Yeah. Oh, so he's kind of into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So has he ever expressed it, or is he just kind of, just?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, yeah. He's like if we're sleeping, he'll just be like, put your foot over here. Like, I don't know, maybe he does that to make sure I'm there. So he can fall asleep.
Yeah, and I do, like, whenever I'm sleeping with my partner or girlfriend or something, I always, like, I'll reach a foot over and touch them, or I have them reach over and, touch me with their foot or something.
I feel like that you just use grounding as a segue to get into some talking about feet. Because you have a thing for feet.
Well, no, it's part of it.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's any segue into talking about it, but I mean, I didn't just come over here to talk about grounding. I mean, I said it's like feet and mental health. So, that's why I talked, brought up the whole feet thing.
Okay. So what about mental health?
Well, so it was it was getting into barefoot and grounding, and it actually helps, equalize the electrical field in the brain. Like I said, it's the potassium ions in the brain. So, it's an electrical charge that gets built up. I mean, just like static, if you're walking across the floor, you touch something and it shocks you. There's a whole lot of stuff into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, have you ever put your feet together with somebody before?
Well, we do like in yoga. I put my feet with whoever I'm there with, and you like do that. What do they call it? A plank saw? Or I don't know. You like go back and forth.
Yeah, kind of like pulling back and forth.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. How often do you do that?
Not often. It's not preferred.
Okay. Well, you just not like touching other people's feet, or is it just?
No, because like when you're in yoga, you're in a class of other people, so like I don't know those people to like have my feet on their feet. Like you said, there's good bacteria and bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, so it's just talking to the different people. It's some people, they don't mind it, they love it, they love touching and interacting with people, and then some people are kind of like but you don't really hear unless you're in somewhere where they have hookworms and different things. You really don't, or a foot fungus or something, athlete's foot in the showers and thing. You don't normally catch anything from anybody.
But again, you don't know. Like, you don't know.
Yeah. And you think all the things that we touch with our hands, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people don't actually wash their hands, and then they're touching things and their face, and you think kids, like you see them, they'll have their hands on a guardrail or something, and then they'll put their hands in their mouth or their eyes, and you're like, oh my God.
Especially during COVID, you just pay so much attention to like what people are doing with their hands, and you're just like, you just start thinking about how dirty everything is and like how easy it is to get sick touching stuff. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Was anybody ever taking pictures of your feet before?
Not that I would allow, not strangers.
Right. Yeah, certainly. And you wouldn't believe it or not, people have an exhibitionist, heart sometimes, and they're just like, yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, let me,
I'm definitely not one of those.
No, I understand. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I was looking for your channel on YouTube.
Yeah, it's the Human Soul, TheHuman, and then SOLE project.
Okay. And so when you come out here and ask people like stuff, do people like they like sit and put their feet against your feet and
yeah
really?
I mean, it's like
and
the whole,
you take pictures of their feet?
Yes.
Strangers do? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
sure do. Yeah, I've got probably 30 or 40 videos. I don't have them all posted.
What?
Yeah, and actually I got a lot more pictures. I probably
That's funny because there's so many black people out here. I would be surprised if black people would let you would just be so open to be like, oh yeah, here, rub your feet on my feet.
Yeah. If you look on my YouTube channel, I actually right over there on the other side, there was 3 young black ladies I sat down and talked to just last year, and sat there and did it with all 3 of them. But yeah, it's just a whole, like, some people like to get out of their comfort, they're so in themselves and in their bubble, and then it's just getting out of your comfort zone. And you ask somebody, they're, well, what about this? What's the worst that could happen?
That you could get and all the things that you named, like a fungus or
right. Well, I don't have feet fungus. I actually have very soft feet. I get pedicures, and I only walk around, like, I hate walking anywhere. I gotta have my feet clean all the time. I always feel icky and everything, about having dirty feet, and I change socks every day, and I don't like smelly shoes. I'll throw away smelly shoes or anything like that. So it's a whole thing. It's not just liking feet. It's even with myself. I take care of my own feet.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
So,
sounds good.
yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for your interview.